This episode is brought to you by Lumina Growth Lab. At Lumina, we help professional learning and development consultants who are struggling with steady lead flow, consistent bottom line revenue, and scalability so they can finally have healthy margins, make more strategic decisions, and ultimately take their business to the next level. Most of the time, our clients come to us frustrated because nothing seems to work outside of word of mouth or referral-based growth. But with the right strategy and support, they're able to confidently add new channels of lead generation that create sustainable revenue and year-over-year progress for cheaper than ever before because of the use of AI technologies. If this sounds like you or someone you know, connect with me on LinkedIn and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about unlocking your business's potential. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Marketing Matrix. I'm your host, Lisanne Murphy, and today I am joined by the one and only Alex Kremer. Alex, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Guys, I am seriously so excited for you to learn from this brilliant man. I had the opportunity to meet Alex recently, and I was absolutely blown away by his vision. This guy is someone who knows what he wants and is going after it, and he's building a powerhouse movement in the process. So let me take a minute to just introduce him, and then I am really excited for him to share his brilliance with you today. So Alex Kremer is the founder of Alluvians, an organization and community committed to impacting sales and leadership for both individuals and businesses. For the past 15 years, Alex has worked and trained with hundreds of leaders, sales professionals, and teams from organizations such as Salesforce, AWS, Gong, and many more. As a leader at Outreach, he helped grow the company from 25 to 250 million. 10x, guys. He's hired, trained, and led 100 plus account executives and sales managers and reached President's Club for the past 7 executive years. Most importantly, Alex is known for and has experience building high-performance sales teams, leading growth-oriented cultures, and developing purpose-led leaders at businesses, conferences, workshops, and classrooms. Alex is widely regarded by sales professionals as someone who helps others step into their authentic leadership while empowering their teams and culture to achieve great results. His insights have been heard on his podcast, The Rising Leader, as well as lectures at countless universities, Dreamforce, 30 Minutes to President's Club, Surf and Sales, and Outreach Unleashed Conference, the Sales Engagement Podcast, and many more. As a leadership and coach, Alex can help sales leaders and reps who are seeking it for purpose and calling both professionally and personally. He is able to pair his business experience building teams with his passion for mindfulness and self-improvement. Alex grew up surfing down in the beautiful San Diego, California, and currently resides in Austin. So, guys, please give it up for Alex. Again, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, well, that was a great intro for me. So I appreciate you giving that.
Well, let me just tell you, like as I was reading this before you came on the show, and then even reading it just now. If you're listening and you can't see Alex right now, like if you're not watching the video, you might think, oh, this guy, like he's got to be like in his 60s and 70s with everything that you've done and everything you've accomplished and what you've done. And so I don't know about but really honestly, and I don't know if you feel comfortable with like saying what your age is, but this guy is not in his 70s. Alex is a young whippersnapper, as the older folks say. And so, man, I just want to know if you've lived multiple lifetimes already, if you're aging backwards, if you sleep, like what's the
Call me
secret?
Benjamin Button. Maybe that's the right motto.
Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny. I have definitely, while I consider myself to, I don't want to say be wise beyond my years, but I definitely have a lot to learn still. And I'm very much in my work myself, but I've been very blessed to be studying under incredible teachers, coaches, mentors. I grew up with a great father. My dad was actually a motivational speaker. So from the age of 5, I was going to seminars and conferences and watching him speak on stage. And let's just say I was indoctrinated into the work of what it means to have a vision, what it means to have a purpose, how to work on yourself, how to look at your shadows, and how that relates to achieving, i.e., crushing quota, making a lot of money, building companies, but also really complementing that with, hey, how do you, do so from the right place? How do you truly want to make an impact on this world? And that's always been the North Star that I personally have always been going for. And I'm grateful to be doing what I am today. And I am definitely not perfect, but I'm definitely open to figuring out how to strive for always more.
I love it. I love it. Well, it definitely makes sense, the background that you came from, because I can tell that it's driven deeply in you to make an impact and also to make something of your life and what you want to create. Would you consider yourself, like, if you were just like take it in a couple of words, like, are you a sales company, a sales training company? Like, is that how you'd say it? I mean, I know your mission's deeper than that, but
Yeah.
like on the surface.
We work with sales professionals, leaders, and founders on really two main components. We teach them how to both master their skill sets. So, a lot of the left brain oriented, your process, the language you use, how to ask powerful questions, how to get prospects into a state of commitment. So, there is that aspect of it. But then also, we bring in a lot of what we call the inner game. In the inner game, there's really two sides of the equation to that. One side is, hey, who the hell are you? What's your vision? What are you doing in this world? What's the purpose that you were put on earth to do, even if that's an esoteric, very big question? And also on the other side of the equation, it's, hey, we're constantly struggling and facing with burnout, stress, anxiety, imposter syndrome, depression, you name it. How do you work on those things? How do you use those as almost a way to go deeper into who you are? And what I've always found is that when you combine a skill set, right, your craft at what you do, whether it be in sales or as a leader, when you also, complement the feeling and aliveness in who you are, and also knowing how to face the deeper, heavier, shadow oriented things. And then really, when you combine that with surrounding yourself with people who are also doing that, right, who are also bringing a level of commitment, who are bringing a level of authenticity and vulnerability to it, man, that's a really powerful formula. And so we work with individuals and we also work with corporations on those specific things as well.
I love that. And I love that it's not just sales tactics, right? But it's about getting to the underlying motivation of why people are doing things. So I'd love to kind of go down that rabbit hole for a moment.
Yeah.
And my first question is, do you find that people typically come to you with like, yeah, I know my motivation, I know my why, this is it. But then that's not actually it. That's like a surface thing or something that's like been like programmed into them by the world or society, especially like if like your people are coming from a Western society, like we come from a very much a hustle culture, right? So and the reason why I asked this question is because so when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, and I was ruthless in terms of like just my work ethic and going for it and really like striving to make a big difference in the world as well as like make a ton of money. And I burned myself to a crisp through the hustle. And in 2021, I took a big step back and did some traveling. And as part of my travel, I went to a monk and lived like a monastery, or sorry,
Mm.
went to a monastery and lived like a monk for a few weeks to like really just sit with myself and reconnect with who I was. And through that process and through some other things, I realized that my hustle was designed to cover up pain in my life. And that through my experience of dealing with that pain, through sitting in deep meditation for hundreds of hours and through therapy, and that pain was healed, actually, my motivation, like, it went away. There was a period of time where, like, I was just like, who needs to work, man? Like, let's sit on the porch and drink a smoothie in the sunshine. Like, that's what life's really about. And so over the last, to be honest, like the last year, I've really like had to like rebuild, like, why am I working? And I'm still in that process, like to be totally transparent. But I thought that my motivation was like impact, talk to so many people, make tons of money. Like my dad is an immigrant from another country and we can do better for my family, and all of that went away. And so now I'm like redefining, like,
Yeah.
why do I want what I want and what do I actually want? And so I'm curious to know if I'm kind of a freak
I would say you're
or
definitely not a freak. Let's start there. Yeah.
if you see that often with people that you work with where their motivation shifts when they actually like come and do the inside game and like do the
Yeah.
inner work with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I think it would be remiss to say if, a lot of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I faced the similar challenge that you face. And I think, it's funny. I remember back in 2015 timeframe, I emailed my therapist. I was actually on vacation in Germany. I was riding on a bike and I just had this question pop into my head. And the question was, hey, how does one pursue a vision and strive for achievement and all this beautiful, let's go in the future, while also still remaining present in the current moment, right? It's a paradox to me. It's like, how do you do both there? And it's a question that I've been continuously asking myself and inquiring into, really since then. And, what I've always found whenever I speak with sales professionals who come to me, that one of the most common things that I'm hearing from people is, hey, I'm working my ass off and I've bought into this motto of I need to achieve, I need to build, I need to create. Our parents told us to do that. Society told us to do that. Instagram told us to do that. And for many of us, we've actually done extremely well at it, right? We've made the money. We've bought the cars or the houses, or we've gotten whatever we want to. Yet the problem is people are saying, wait, why don't I feel happy? Wait, what am I missing? Because I'm doing what I was told would give me that fulfillment, yet I don't feel that, and in certain ways I actually feel worse. And so if that's not it, what is it? And that's actually the question that most people are struggling with, is they are doing exactly what you're doing. They're working really hard and they're doing it, but they're still missing. I call it the void, right? What's the thing that we're missing? And really at its core, what so many people do is they look to things externally to give them a feeling of fullness. Hey, is it the numbers next to my bank account? Is it, the car that I drive? All this thing. And the problem is those things are fleeting, right? The stock market could crash. Your house could burn down. And if those things go away, does that mean you also crumble with it? And so what we really invite people into, and just again, this is really from my own personal journey, because I was at Microsoft early on in my career and I was, getting promoted. I was making more money than I ever had. And I was struggling on the inside with deep, deep depression. And I actually went through a really dark period where I was having suicidal thoughts. And I was like, whoa, I'm really at a tough situation here. And I also had my own experience where I went to my own meditation retreats, and meditation is a very important part of my craft. And I study under a really powerful teacher as well. And what it's all comes down to is what, I view as just self-connection. Are you actually allowing yourself to connect to all the different parts of you? And self-connection is synonymous with self-awareness, which is synonymous with self-discovery. Essentially, when we have these different emotions come up, the quote unquote bad emotions like anger, fear, sadness, anxiety, what do we typically do as a society? We push them down and we distract ourselves. And we distract ourselves with social media, with a substance, with work, right? Anything but to feel that. The problem is those things actually don't go away. In fact, they actually start to fester. And when they fester, they start to close our heart. Our field starts to shrink, right? And we go right back into our heads and we think and we loop and we think and we loop. And then it comes out in a really unhealthy way. That's when our temper loses it. That's when we have the breakdown. That's when we yell at our wife or our kids or whatever it might be. When actually, if you just simply allow yourself to connect and to be with those parts and feel them in your body, like the somatic intelligence of your body. And sometimes that needs to come out in tears. And sometimes that needs to come out from you screaming into a towel. And sometimes that needs to come out on you going on a run and just like yelling for just because you need to feel it. I don't really care about what happens when you feel it. That emotion can actually move through you, right? That weight doesn't feel so heavy. And underneath that heaviness is what I like to call your essence, right? And your essence is your light. It's your authenticity. It's the thing that makes you that you have a wholeness already in you. You don't need the partner or the job or the money to make you whole. the funny thing is when you are whole and then you go after those things usually are attracted way back to you.
That's
Which
awesome.
is the paradox of the matter.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that breakdown. I really everything you said I resonate with because that's what I've experienced personally, for sure. So a follow-up question with that. Are people's why, their essence, is that from your experience with either yourself or with coaching others, is that something that's chosen? Is that inherent? Like, and so it's like, is it a matter of finding it? Is it a matter of choosing it? Like, what is the nature of the why or the
Yeah.
essence?
I had a great coach of mine one time tell me that your essence is your who you are. This is me. This is my authenticity. And what's funny is that authenticity is actually the strongest wavelength or vibration that can come off of you. Right? We've all been at a party, a bar, a restaurant where you see somebody walk in who's fully in their essence, and you're like, I don't even know who that is, but they're attractive. Right? There's literally like a magnetic pull to them, but that's because they're connected with themselves and they know themselves, right? So that's your who. Your vision is your what. This is what I want to do. This is the thing that I want to create in the world. And when you combine your who and your what, that's actually what creates your why. What I also, would say about that is that when you can start to fully connect to yourself and you can have these emotions, this armor, these masks that we typically put on, right? I wear the mask because I want people to like me. I want to look, act, and sound like I think the world wants me to look so I receive love. When we can start to remove that and let our true and authenticity start to come out, what actually comes from under that, that's where your purpose starts to come from. And it's not, I want these external things. It's when you actually start to ask yourself the question or questions, man, what's the impact I want to make on this world? Man, who do I want to serve? Man, what's my legacy? Man, when I am gone from this world, how is the world different because I was here? And that's really when you can start to be genuinely asking yourself those questions. Even if, for example, I was in software sales for a very long time. If I could change my questions from, man, how do I close this person so I can get paid, to, man, how can I support this person in a powerful way that I can not just impact their company, I can impact them individually, and then maybe they can show up at home better for their family. They could support their family more. Then if I show up from that, from a true level of service, most likely they're going to, whether or not they realize it, they're going to feel that from me, and they're going to want to give me their money, and they're going to want to partner with me because I'm truly trying to help them. And that's really what I see as just like the big, change, I would even say, within this current era of humankind. There is this consciousness that I do feel like is starting to come through, where people are starting to say, like, yo, dog, like, F the system. I need to go into entrepreneurship. I want to like start to step into, like, I want meaning, right? I think actually there's two things that I hear more than ever that people are wanting right now. And the first thing that people are wanting, like I said, is meaning. People want to know that what they're doing matters. They want impact. They want purpose. They want to wake up and say, man, I am doing good. Especially when you start to talk to millennials, Gen Zs, and below. They're really enrolled in the idea. And the second thing people want is they want community. But another way for community is they want to feel like they belong, right? They can belong to a tribe, and they can be authentic. They can be vulnerable. And when you have those two things together, that's just a really powerful combination that so much really starts to open up.
I love that. So, so, so well said. So, like, it makes me think of, you have like Simon Sinek's book, like Start With Why, right? It sounds like the Alex Kremer book is Start With Who. Like, who are you really down there, right? And then let your why flow through that. And I love how, like, I really appreciate your distinction of your vision is what you want to do with that, right? I think a lot of times, especially in the personal development world, it's like, build a vision board and like say your affirmations, right? But if it's not anchored into something, it's not anchored into who you are, then it's it's empty, it's spinning, or it's maybe not empty, but it's very easy to build your ladder on the wrong wall, right? And then climb the ladder and be like, oh shoot, it's not the building I wanted to be on. Crap.
Yeah, and it's really terrifying to do things that are different. Like for the longest time, like my dad's a doctor. He's a motivational speaker, but also a doctor. His dad was a doctor, and my mom really wanted me to be a doctor. She actually wanted me to be an orthopedic surgeon. And I signed up for pre-med in college and all this sort of stuff. And then like right before I started college, I told my mom, I was like, I actually really don't like science. Like with love, mom, like I don't think I can do this. And that was really terrifying because I wanted to do what my mom thought I should do and what society would give me validation for. Hey, if you have a doctor in front of your name, like you immediately have a level of credibility. That guy must be smart and successful in some type of way. But to go down this path that says like, yeah, and I think a little bit different. You know, I'm kind of weird. Like if I told you, I was like, hey, Lisanne, you're pretty weird. And if you told me, Alex, I'm not weird, I'm normal. I'm just like everybody else. I'd be like, nah, you're pretty weird, and it's kind of lame that you're not thinking about it. Like I would feel a dissonance with you. But if I said, Lisanne, you're pretty weird, and you're like, hell yeah, I'm weird. I'm the weirdest person I know. You cannot get any weirder than me. I'm like, damn, that woman is confident. And I'm like, I'm attracted to that. I'm like, wow, like she is so herself. And what you're also doing is you're also giving me permission to be my weird, right? To be different and to be unique. And that's what I really think that this consciousness evolution, this new wave that's really starting to come through is when you can start to own your difference and you think differently and you look different and you know have different ideas. That's attractive.
Mm.
And that's the people that I want to follow. And it's especially not the people who have it all figured out, but who are willing to say, and also respectfully, I'm also effed up. You know, like I also have nothing figured out. You know, I might sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I also ask myself the question every single day, what the hell are you doing? And that brings this human element that like, oh, I trust this person even more because they're just like me.
I love that. I love that. So on that vein, like, what is a question you're asking yourself right now? Like, what's a question you're noodling about, studying about,
Yeah.
pondering, meditating about?
You know, it's funny. I just had a couple of conversations with various mentors and coaches. Is you know, I'm hungry, and when I say that, I mean like I want to build my company. I want this to be an 8-9 figure company. Like that's how much I believe in this. And you know, we throw retreats. We have an online course. We work with corporations. I want to impact 1 billion people. Like I literally say it. I want to impact 1 billion people in this world, which is a big, hairy, audacious goal. Who has the actually ability to do that? And, I just married my beautiful wife in April. We want to have an amazing family. I want a ranch. I want horses. And so it's like, how do I build from spaciousness? How do I work, but make sure that I'm nourishing myself, that I still have free time? How do I scale, right? How do I impact 1 billion people, but not kill myself by doing it? And, my natural operating system is wake up and grind, baby. I've been doing that for a majority of my life, and I'm really feeling this new identity for myself coming through that says, yeah, that's a muscle. Awesome. You can work your ass off. You can work 80, 90, 100 hours a week. Easy. Let's go. And dog, let's complement that with let's take your wife on a beautiful vacation. Let's go to the park for a couple of hours at noon on a Tuesday and just chill without your phone. It's like, how do we do both of those things? And that's really where I'm asking myself that question, because, when you talk to so many founders, like, yeah, especially when you're getting going, you're working all the time. I'm like, do you though? Is that true, or is that just how it's always been done? So that's what I'm asking myself a lot.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's kind of a scary question, like coming from the background, it sounds like your fabric is very similar to mine, right? The wake up and grind type mentality. So I'm curious to know something that I've been thinking about in my journey, because I'm also asking myself the same question. Like as I've like ramped my business back up, like I took like a year to just travel and chill and building it back up, I can feel myself like gravitating back towards the wake up and grind. And I should amend that. I'm not gravitating towards it. Like, I am in that vortex, like, again. But like, I'm also talking to my mentors being like, I can't make the same mistakes. Like, I can't get to the point where I literally have to like, this is a little bit dramatic, but like shut the doors and get on an airplane and like run away. Yeah, I'm like you. I'm determined to take over the world, but yet hang out in the park with my family on a Tuesday afternoon, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like what have been some mindset shifts that you've had? Like, so it's not just like a nice thought or a dream, but like what are you changing in the moment
Yeah.
to do that?
Well, really the thing that I've been thinking about, and we've kind of referenced it a couple of times, is the polarities between the doer and the ability to be at the same time. And there's this phrase that I really resonate with called being a warrior poet. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that before. And a warrior poet, is it's a warrior, and it's not just a man warrior, but like a warrior. Like, hey, I can get after it. Like I can work. I can build. I can fight. I can believe in something, stand for something. And think of what a poet is. A poet has a level of intimacy with the world, right? They feel their heart. Right, you think of like one of my favorite examples of a warrior poet was King David. Classic example of that archetype, right? This was a king. He was a fighter. He literally brought down Goliath. And this guy wrote, how much of Psalms? This guy played the harp. This guy mourned and grieved. He cried. He prayed to God in so many ways. And so it's like, as we're going and building, how do we still feel the intimacy of what we're doing? Like, even right now, as I'm speaking with you, right, I could easily approach it like, oh, another podcast. Here we go. Let me get this thing done. And then after this, I'm going to go to this thing and I'm going to go versus be like, wow, look how awesome this is. I was invited on this podcast with Lisanne. Wow, she's just asking me really powerful questions. Oh, I love this. And I'm feeling the nourishment that comes from this presence that I have with you. And my wife, I just have this warm plate of food that she just dropped right here next to me. Man, I get to eat this delicious food that my wife just made for me. And when I take a bite, am I actually going to chew it and to taste it? And you're like, wow, man, this tastes so good. And like really, it's like a reframe of our mind. We're so focused on, all right, how do I get to this number? How do I get to 7 figures and then 8 figures and then, whatever it might be, versus, man, look at this current stage I'm at in my life. And, one of my favorite artists is Macklemore. I went to school in Seattle. I lived in Seattle. Macklemore's a big Seattle guy. And one of his songs that I love, and I actually have it, it's on my vision playlist. And so whenever I need, to tap into my vision, I have all these songs I listen to. And one of his favorite songs is called Good Old Days. And one of the things he talks about is that he always wanted to have his name up in lights. And he talks about like when he was driving across Canada in a van, going to random shows to just, try to get on. And now that he's famous, well-renowned, he looks back on those days and be like, man, but those were the good old days. Those were the days when it was just so pure. And so really bringing this level of presence of like, man, look at what I'm doing right now. Look at this season. Look at who I'm becoming, that eventually I'm going to look back in my life and be like, man, I didn't even know it, but those were some of the best years of my life. And are we celebrating and experiencing that? Even if, you're a sales rep and you just became a sales rep and you're trying to figure out how to scrape to quota and learning for the first time how to sell, man, what incredible years of your life versus, all right, how do I get this done so I can get promoted? So it's that balance between the two that really, it's a deep level of practice and
Yeah, I love
reverence
that.
to it.
I love that. Very, very wise. Very wise. So I'm curious if what came first, chicken or the egg situation here? Was it sales training and then it evolved into like more of this inner game and realizing that that's like the most important thing? Or was it like, okay, I believe in this inner game. I know this is what it takes, but like, what is the niche? What's the vertical that I want to apply this to? And sales then came after. What was first, chicken or egg?
It's hard to say because I've always felt this deep resonance with inner game. I didn't call it inner game, but I always believe, my dad was like, hey, purpose, vision, you can do step into that. But, from college, especially when I got my first sales job right out of college, I was like, I need to get freaking good at sales. I'm like, how do I sell people? How do I be effective at literally booking a cold meeting with somebody who doesn't know what we do, building rapport with them and convincing them to partner with us? Wow, what an incredible skill set that could enable me to do who knows what. And so I really was in that. But then as I was doing that, like I said, I found like, wow, I'm killing myself doing this. And it really, brought me down, like I said, a dark path, and brought me to meditation and breath work and so much. And I moved into sales leadership, and I had a coach one time tell me, he's like, hey, Alex, you're kind of tech sales leader by day and spiritual dude by night. What would it look like if you combined the two into just one version of you? And I was like, that's a great question. And I chose to bring breath work onto my team. So at the very beginning of each one of my team meetings, we started with a round of Wim Hof breath work, which, let's just say, there was some resistance
Yeah.
initially from my team to do that. And this was circa 2018. But they bought in, and, we started talking about, hey, how do you commit to your craft, but also how do you do that in service of something? And, we not only had one of the best cultures, most of our team went to President's Club and they became great leaders, and so on. We became one of the best teams, consistently every single quarter. And I really just learned, I was like, wow, it's not this or that. It's not just crushing your numbers, and it's not just sitting on your meditation cushion. It's both. And what really started of this company, I'll be honest with you, there was some restructuring at my company around September of 2022, and myself and my boss's boss, we all got laid off. And I remember the next day, which was a Tuesday at like 9 a.m., I'm running on the West Side Highway in New York, and I'm thinking, this is my call. It's time to go for it. And that's what that next day I launched Alluvians. I committed to posting on LinkedIn every single day. I started my Rising Leader podcast a little bit as a FU to my former employer. I was like, I'm going to show you, but also I was just like, hey, sacred outlook. Everything is happening here for me. And,
I love that.
there's
So
more to that journey, but yeah.
I love it. It was a combination of like they were both incubating, right? The sales expertise was incubating, the spiritual component was incubating, and you started to merge the two, and then the environmental factor of being laid off is like what created like the nuclear fission of like really just marrying the two together. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I had a old rep of mine actually was talking to him about 3 weeks ago, and he's like, man, I was so pissed when they fired. He's like, I can't believe they did that. And I'm like, thank God they did that. I was like, if they didn't do that, I wouldn't be doing what I am now and making the impact on the world that I am now. Like, it was the loving push that I needed. Maybe during the time I was not as, in a okay state with that, but it happened for a really beautiful reason, and I felt the call.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, I'm glad you answered the call because we wouldn't be having the conversation today had you not done that. So that's amazing. Well, it is very, very clear your level of passion, your enthusiasm for what you do, and the impact that you're making, and the drive that you have to like not just do well for your family, but to like really change the lives of those that you work with. I I'm sure we it sounds like we could like rabbit hole and talk about many, many things for a really, really long time. But it has been seriously just like an absolute joy to like touch on some of the subjects that are deeply meaningful to you. And I feel just a lot of resonance with my journey as well. And so I appreciate you speaking into those because it's definitely blessed my life today as well.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you letting me be on, and great questions. And yeah, I love what you're doing with the show and bringing this message out to more people. So I'm honored to be on it.
Awesome. Well, so Alex, if people are in sales, how do they find you? If they want to follow your journey since you're posting all the time and you have a podcast, like give us the details. Like how can people find you and follow you?
Yeah, I post almost every single day on LinkedIn. I'd say that's probably my main platform, Alex Kremer. Go ahead and follow me. I'm on Instagram, AS Kremer. Check out our website, alluvians.co. We got webinars, we got in-person retreats, we got an online course, everything. We're trying to get out there of as many people can help reach us. Like I said, I got that goal of 1 billion people. So yeah, check us out.
Love it. Well, guys, I'm going to put those links in the episode notes so you can access those and give Alex a follow. And whether you're in sales yourself or you know someone who is, like, pass on what he's doing, because you can tell that he's not just a tactical say these things to get the close, but he's actually like digging into the human that is doing it, and which makes the whole world a better place, honestly. Again, thank you, Alex, for your work and for coming on the show today. I can't wait to talk again.
Thank you so much, Lisanne.